5 of 8 in this second quarter. The Knicks just 1 for 4 and a chance for their first lead in style. Kuminga with a swipe and slam. Brunson, step through. Oh, slotted by Kuminga.
Jonathan Kuminga just made an absolute mockery of the Golden State Warriors system and might even be the reason Steve Kerr doesn't return to the team. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Jonathan Kuminga doesn't even play for the Warriors, he plays for the Hawks, and has absolutely nothing to do with Steve Kerr, and you'd be mostly right. While both these things are true, at least partially, there are a lot of eyes on Kuminga in this playoff series, especially considering the Warriors are in the lottery. But in Game 2 of the Hawks-Knicks playoff series, Jonathan Kuminga made us all question everything we thought we knew about head coach Steve Kerr. Put simply, JK was the single best player on the floor, for either team, off the bench, against the most hostile crowd in the league, and led the Hawks on a double-digit comeback against the best fourth-quarter team. How do you have a player this essential to besting a title contender in Game 2 off the bench, and yet somehow this same player was getting DNPs on the Warriors bench? Something just isn't right. But enough of that. Let's see exactly how Jonathan Kuminga stymied the Knicks offense while putting maximum pressure on their defense, keeping the Hawks within striking distance and forcing head coach Quinn Snyder to keep him on the floor for the entire fourth quarter all the way to a Hawks victory. Check ball. Jonathan Kuminga entered the game at about the 7-minute mark in the first quarter with the Knicks up by 6 points. He didn't touch the ball on the first offensive possession, however, he picked up Jalen Brunson going back the other way. At this point, they already know what time it is. Brunson wants nothing to do with JK. They want the switch. So Karl Towns sets the illegal screen with a booty bump that doesn't get called, and a point of note here. A lot of people often complain about Kuminga not fighting over screens. He clearly fights over the screen here to stay on Brunson. This resulted in Brunson getting doubled while KAT rolled. You'd think this would be an easy finish for KAT, but that's not the case. The length of Kuminga and Johnson made it impossible for the 6'1" Brunson, who already picked up his dribble, to even be able to make the pass. This forces him to make a dangerous pass to the wing that almost gets picked off by Alexander Walker. The next play on offense, Kuminga calls for the ball for the mismatch. He doesn't get the ball initially as they wanted to run the offense through Jalen Johnson. Johnson has OG on him, obviously one of the Knicks' best defenders, so he kicks it back and tells him to get it to Kuminga. My problem with this set is the Hawks give Kuminga no outlet. Why is Nickeil weak side? The problem with this shows itself rather quickly. With no shooter to make an outlet pass to, Kuminga gets doubled in the post and the Hawks can't benefit. This is where Nickeil needs to be on this play. A screen by JJ to allow Nickeil to come up off the curl to get a kick out from Kuminga would have been a wide open 3. Instead, we get a pass with no screen back up to JJ with no progress on the play. A weak pick and roll with Alexander Walker and Mo Gay left the Hawks empty and they turn it over. On the next defensive play, it looks as if Kuminga's slow to rotate. He'll probably get criticized for being slow after Dyson Daniels goes up top and Josh Hart gets an open look. But look closely. JK left no room for Towns to hit Bridges with a dime for an easy deuce. Mo Gay had just been hit at the other end with no call from the refs, leaving the Hawks to play 4-on-5. But JK knows a thing or two about playing 4-on-5 from his Warriors days. He closed off the pass to Bridges and still did enough to rattle a 41% three-point shooter. The next possession, Daniels is guarding Brunson with Kuminga on KAT. As soon as KAT goes in to set the screen, and holy trinity, this is a terrible screen that is immediately useless. Dyson and Kuminga double Brunson and he gets forced out of bounds but gets bailed out by the refs. Keep in mind, this entire time JK has been guarding Towns. For a dumb player, he sure seems to recognize a fast break opportunity as he sprints past Towns after his teammates forced the turnover, sprints past Bridges who was backcourt, and finishes through contact while getting hugged on the floor. The next offensive possession, Jonathan Kuminga's wide open with only Brunson between him and the basket. Johnson doesn't see JK, but Vincent does and clears out the way to get Bridges on the other side. These are the types of plays where I'd see the Hawks get a quick bucket before the defense gets set, but it takes him a while to see the play. By the time he hands it to JK, the defense is set and it becomes an ISO possession. This resulted in a turnover as JK gets hit with an offensive foul for backing down the smaller Brunson, even though there's no arm extension and he actually tried to go around him. Following that possession, he sniffs out an incoming lob to Mitchell Robinson on the roll. The Knicks had been punishing the Hawks for not having a rim protector, and this looked like just one of those moments. As JK inches towards Robinson, Bridges instead hits Towns with a no-look pass. JK recovers just quickly enough to throw Towns off, and he misses. This is one of the few shot opportunities Towns gets because otherwise, JK does a great job of denying KAT being an outlet for Brunson, forcing him to put up tough shots against length such as Jalen Johnson. For his entire stint guarding KAT in the first quarter, JK did not let Towns get a single bucket. For the second quarter, he'd guard OG Anunoby. After this handoff to CJ, he's wide open but doesn't get the pass. It's amazing what counts for a good shot these days. 2 long balls by CJ and Kispert weren't exactly close. The flow is a bit disorganized as those shots weren't within the flow of the offense. The next possession on the defensive end saw Jonathan continue to play at a high level. Here he reads the offensive play like a book, predicting the swing back up top with perfect anticipation before poking the ball away and attacking in transition to give the Hawks their first lead of the game. JK sat for the next few minutes, but came back in to finish the half in place of Dyson Daniels. This was a rather interesting move. Keep that in mind for later. CJ had it going offensively, and with Kuminga being the most valuable player on the floor for the Hawks, they had little choice. The Hawks closed the game down 6 going into halftime. By the time JK returned at the 6-minute mark in the third, the Hawks were down 14 points. Kuminga would play every single minute the rest of the way to help the Hawks overcome that 14-point deficit. And here's what he did. Matched up with Karl-Anthony Towns, Jonathan Kuminga gives up 4 or so inches on defense and height and about the same in wingspan. What he has, however, that Towns lacks is toughness and physicality. Here we see him on a fast break trailing Jalen Johnson to get the tip in. Towns calls for the ball in the post and goes to work. The check must have cleared because this obvious charge was called a defensive foul for what was minor contact with Towns. The claim was that JK pulled Clowns towards him and that the contact was the reason for the foul call. The evidence does not support this claim. Towns still has yet to score a bucket on Kuminga, but then something happened. With Mitchell Robinson sitting, Towns moved to the 5 and Snyder puts Tony Bradley on him. It was like clockwork. KAT looked like he just got free from Alcatraz, running a pick and roll with Jose Alvarado and heads straight for the basket for his first bucket since Kuminga's been on the floor. Back up the floor, JJ looks for a pick from CJ, but with Grand Theft Alvarado lurking, that probably wouldn't be the best idea. Jonathan Kuminga motions for him to attack. An aggressive JJ drive would lead to a kick out which JK calls for. JJ finds him in the corner wide open, and although he misses the 3, the shot has a lot more arc than it has since his injury, a sign that Kuminga is probably 90 to 95% there in terms of having his legs under him. The very next possession with Bradley still on Towns, who's trailing the play, walks right into a triple over a late contest by Bradley. Quinn Snyder was clearly not fond of this type of defense being played on KAT, but at the same time you can't have Kuminga guard the entire Knicks roster. JK takes on Alvarado on the next play, draws the contact on one of the league's best pickpocket defenders and gets 2 at the line. The Knicks take it up to the other end and JK manages to get a hand on the ball as OG tries to get down the lane and loses it. Robinson was right in line and got the Knicks a lucky bucket that should have been a turnover. The Hawks go into the fourth quarter down 12 points to the best fourth quarter team in the league. This already sounds like game over. So we've seen the Knicks starting to feature OG a little bit on offense, so Kuminga sprints up the court to stay on his man. They hit OG with the pass and he immediately gives it back. He wants absolutely nothing with trying to take Kuminga off the drive. McBride tries to lob it to Robinson, and Kuminga, who's clearly become the defensive anchor for the Hawks, manages to break up the play, tapping the pass over to Alexander Walker to initiate the fast break, resulting in a bucket at the other end. On this play, OG takes the inbound pass. Now this play will explain why no Knick wants the difficult task of trying to take JK off the dribble. OG pulls out his Gucci bag only to get Kuminga's Gucci belt. Despite his counters, he fails to get open or create any sort of advantage before throwing up a prayer of a layup. He misses horribly, but as soon as JK gets out the paint, that's a bucket for the Knicks. It's obvious at this point that Kuminga's caught a rhythm. A pick and roll with JK and Gabe Vincent, and Robinson is screwed, so Air Congo takes off before OG made it through TSA. Immediately after that, I figured JK wanted another pick and roll partner because Robinson clearly has no idea what he's doing on the floor if he's not blocking a shot or grabbing a rebound. They put him in action again. This time, Kuminga and Okongwu ran circles around the man on an island, crushing the Knicks defense. So whether you put him as the initiator / ball handler or the rule man, expect JK to create. This is where the Hawks smell blood. The Knicks have no counter and no way to handle Kuminga on either end of the floor. The last 8 minutes of the game would be the longest stretch of Kuminga and Johnson. Kuminga attacks Clarkson off the dribble, throws up the hook and gets the roll for the and one. All lefty, no Lucy, tight dribbles and elite finishing. So much for that Jaylen Brown comp. At the 5-minute mark, JK starts to guard Towns. The first attempt was a triple that was contested. It wasn't even close. At this point, there's a mental aspect to the game where the Knicks players are really just not interested in trying to go at Kuminga. They'll hunt just about anyone else because they know how hard they're going to have to work for that bucket. And here comes the most electrifying play of the night. Brunson, aka Mr. Clutch, takes it up top. Kuminga's guarding Towns, no Daniels in sight, and he gets a screen to get Walker off him, but it doesn't work so well. He bullies and actually gets by Walker, but as they say, there's always a calm before the storm. Brunson goes in for the layup, but unfortunately for him, Jonathan Kuminga was not about to have that. He viciously swats Brunson's shot so hard, even Damson Idris felt bad about the rejection. The very next defensive possession, Kuminga basically took KAT out of the game, had the brother isolated in the corner like he was a spectator. This ball denial is the type of defensive pressure to then box him out and snatch the rebound had the big cat looking like a lost kitten on the highway. Usually, you need a big man for deterrence. But who needs a 7-footer against the Knicks with JK in the paint? He probably looks like he's a 7-footer when you're wearing a Knicks jersey anyway. Why isn't OG throwing up a lob to KAT? Oh yeah, not really his game. That deterrence got OG tied up with Okongwu and the Hawks get possession. Towns was basically looked off for the rest of the game. He didn't get any touches as Kuminga rendered him completely useless on offense, neutralizing any perceived advantage due to size or skill set. This forced the Knicks to play through Brunson, who couldn't get it done by himself. CJ McCollum was able to get it done on the offensive end, but his turnovers down the stretch as well as missing 2 clutch free throws in a row almost cost the Hawks the game. The Hawks now have the recipe to beat the Knicks, a cheat code. If they unlock Kuminga and run their game through him, they could possibly have a young protege of a Butler-Green hybrid that could be devastating for the remainder of the playoffs. Let me know your thoughts on Kuminga's performance in the comments below. Should he now be starting on the Hawks or stay on the bench? If you like this video, be sure to click the like button, then click that hype button to help promote the content. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swoosh!